Great to speak to some of you, both in our Discord platform and online in all of these spaces. So our final session is our project wrap-up. Just to speak a little bit and debrief on how BrainHack went for all of us. So I don't know if any of our project leads are willing to come on stage. If so, hit the share audio and video button. We might need... Anybody? Oh, okay, Jay, you have to hit the share audio and video button. And it should be above my face. Cool. Yay.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Nice. Okay. So yeah, if you guys remember, I did like the whole NIVIS project, which is basically a way to streamline the QC process for researchers evaluating the quality of their pipeline outputs. And I had the help of 3 generous people. So credits to all their work, because they actually ended up doing most of the work. I was just telling people my opinion, basically. So those Erin, Sarah, and Nathan all contributed wonderfully. So I can walk over sort of the changes that we've made recently. So I'm just going to share my screen real quick, just so I can show the repository, and we can sort of go over what the current state of things are. Okay. So, all right, so this is the repository. So we actually closed some issues, which is super nice. We have 1 so far and 1 in progress at the moment. So first of all, we put in packaging for the actual project. So it's now installable via a pull request over here. So we have like the setup.config as well as setup.py and requirements.txt. So now you can just pip install like the Python packages required for this. And we also have in parallel a bunch of pull requests that we've been doing. So we've closed a couple over here, which has been super nice. So we actually implemented a schema validator. And what this allows us to do is to basically, if any user wants to write a schema, so I'm just going to share the validator right now in NIVIS Radar. And if we go into data and schema, so what the schema does is it describes what the structure of the actual config file is. If you want to basically write your own configuration file, so you can QC like your own pipeline, for example. So moving forward, we want to build documentation to sort of describe this in human readable language so that people understand that like, oh, like this is how I write my own config file. But at the moment, what we do is provide a validation utility so that when you give your schema, it'll tell you if you're like have misconfigured something, or if there's like a missing like keyword in your YAML file and things like that. So that's built into the Radar now, which was a great effort by Nathan, who worked on that. And in parallel, we have some rather big changes being done by Sarah, who's really helped out a ton with like organizing it and to make the actual command line utility a lot more usable. So huge amount of changes here. So she wrote like a README for basically how to set up the application, as well to install some of the requirements, as well as the requirements for the JavaScript JavaScript front end. In addition, she added some commands for initializing the database as well as running the server so that you can actually perform QC on your web browser. And on top of that, we have a ton of changes on like sort of streamlining the application so it's a lot more maintainable, as well as separating out and refactoring some of the utilities. So now instead of like having one command that'll like create the database, and then to essentially launch the web server. We have separate commands to initialize the database, to update the database, which is still a work in progress, as well as to run the server itself. And yeah, there's a lot of things going on and a lot of like collaborative effort on like deciding on like how we want to name variables, as well as like what the structure and design of the project is going to look like. So yeah, a lot of maintenance stuff. Not really features. The validator is the biggest feature that we've added. And not like anything flashy, but all very important work for like future maintainability, as well as if other collaborators want to join, to make sure that it's like something that you can easily contribute to. So yeah, those are on the programming side of things. And then Aaron also did some excellent work. So one of the things that would make this a lot more usable is to also provide an interface for people to essentially create their own configuration file, but instead of writing like a text file, a YAML text file, instead what we could do is to propose them with a list of questions about like what would they like their visualization to look like. So Aaron, I feel like I'm gonna let you do a lot of the talking here, because this is a lot of your amazing work. So if you wanna go ahead and just take the lead here.
Yeah, it wasn't that much. It was basically going through and trying to figure out all the interfaces and trying to figure out if I was just asking somebody what they wanted it to look like, what I would need to ask to build the YAML file, and trying to like write that all down as questions. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
Oh yeah, go for it.
So yeah, I started with like, what do you want your visualization to look like? And then depending on which one they choose, it asks the questions about the inputs. And then if those inputs, and then scrolling down to the bottom, in a lot of the cases, the inputs end up being like a glob of a bunch of files. And that has some kind of bids or non-bid structure in it to map. So there's some follow-up questions about, are there any bids tags in it? And if not, what are they going to be? And if not, and what are the additional things that you're going to add, like descriptions and suffixes and stuff. So I feel like when I was combing through, I hope when I was combing through some of the example configs, if I had the answers to all these questions, I could write a config for somebody, which I'm hoping can get to a point where if we have the answers to all these questions, like a computer could write a config for somebody.
Yeah, and I think that is going to be sort of like an extremely user-friendly feature, right? To instead of writing like a config file by hand, like you could have a command line utility, or even better, a sort of GUI utility where you would go through like a sequence of questions about like asking questions like, oh, what would you want your visualization to look like? And then basically they would be like, oh, I want to look at like the quality of your registration. And then it's like, oh, okay, we have like these registration interfaces for generating visuals. These are the required inputs. Where do you want to pull those from? And then it'll basically auto-generate the config in the background while you're going through this process. So you don't actually have to write it yourself. So obviously that's like a huge feature implementation. But these are like really good first steps for basically framing sort of the types of questions you would be asking end users about how they want to perform their QC. So yeah.
And I want to say, if it's not in terms of baby steps, like even if we can't like implement this kind of app or something that writes the config file for them, you can at least kind of use this as a guide for like a tutorial workflow for how to write the schema.
Yeah, and yeah, definitely something to include as part of the documentation for like, if you're having trouble deciding like what to put in your config, then this is something that you can refer to as sort of like a decision tree for what to include in your config file. So yeah, that is like all the changes that we've made. It's been an amazing experience working with these people, and it's been like highly collaborative, and learned a ton from everybody, and I hope they've also learned something. So yeah, that's it from me. If anyone from the team wants to put in a word or two, feel free to in the chat or anything. But it's been so much fun working with all of you, and hopefully we can get that last PR in. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, that's it for me.
Okay. Thank you to everyone. And a shout out to Sarah who I don't know how you found out about BrainHack, but I'm so glad you did, and you came and joined us. Yay! While I'm at it, before I don't know if Eric or Johan want to come on stage and tell us about how brain feed went. I know I was excited to see that for both of the projects that got pitched, somebody from the audience was like, no, I really want to help with that. And we really did have collaborative teams forming, which was really kind of the goal of the whole thing. One thing I forgot to say is that I quickly threw together a feedback form while we were in the break. So while everyone Yes. Cool. So sorry, I did mute myself. That was yes, my bad. So I wanted to say there is a field. There's a link to a Google form in the chat, and it's a feedback form to try to get ideas to just try to debrief on what happened. Oh yay, Eric's here. Okay, so Eric, can you push share audio and video? It's like a blue button above my head. Awesome.
Okay.
Yay.
All right. Can everyone hear me? Yeah. So the project. So we didn't really achieve everything that we aimed to do during the BrainHack, but I think we do have some progress this afternoon. So I think, as I mentioned in the project update session this morning, we faced a challenge that we couldn't get existing posts from Reddit. So we are trying to find other ways to distribute data, and then we figured out. So we found out there was another third-party API, and that can let you extract existing Reddit post submissions or comments, and from like a subreddit, or you can even specifically define like a user ID or like search for a specific keyword. And also it can also let you define, let's say you only want to extract the post within a certain time window, let's say like in 2020. So, and we tried that and it seems working. So I think our next step, beyond BrainHack, perhaps just trying to see, I'm not sure, because just for testing, we didn't extract like a huge, I think I tried the number 10,000 and it took about like 1 minute. But so I don't know I'm not sure if there's a limit, like how much we can actually extract, but if we can extract more, then I think we'll have enough training data for us, like enough data for us to do like a proper training to build a model, and that will be our next step to see, like to build a model, like a classification model to classify these post submissions, and yeah. I'm not sure if Johan's here, but I'm not sure if there's anything he wants to add. But yeah, that's pretty much the progress of our this project.
Hi,
Johan.
Yeah, sorry, I was driving and I realized it's the project updates or the final thing, so I should hop in. So I'm parked. Don't worry, I'm not driving. Yeah, no, I guess I agree with everything you said. We have a clearer path now to what, like, to the goal. But there have definitely been some like challenges that we've to some extent overcome. I really want to give Eric credit here. I think Eric's done most of the heavy lifting. And so, yeah, thank you for this. And this is a project that I hope that will carry on past BrainHack. I think it's something that'll be really useful for the scientific community. And so, I mean, HBM deadline's coming up for abstract, so maybe not the next week, but I plan on kind of pushing through after and over the break with it. So if there's more people that are interested in this, it'd be great to have some extra hands and extra minds on this.
Really exciting, and it's great that like OHBM communication is excited about this project too, so I think it's going to have like a lasting impact. Yeah, and I'm so glad to see just collaborations form around this project and how much it's been motivating people. Yeah, I think those were our two major projects to update on. Also, thank you. I didn't even know Hopin works from your phone, but good to know. Good to know. It works in the car. So I don't know if anybody has any additional questions or comments, or any general BrainHack comments that they want to come on stage and say. Also, I don't know. Oh, I am going to give a shout out one more time to the feedback form. Please do give us feedback about how this event went for you. Try to email the form out as well. And that way, that helps us really plan going forward. We have no idea what next year's going to bring. I guess we thought we wouldn't be doing virtual 2 years in a row, but it looks like we are, and we're going to have to figure out what hybrid looks like, hopefully, in 2022. But thank you to everyone who joined. Thank you to everyone who helped organize. I have to give a big shout out to everyone who's helped organize, and who's either led a you know who you are, but people who've led projects, people who've spoken during the event. It's been really amazing and really helpful, and it's a really busy and difficult time of year. So thank you to everyone who's put some time into this event. After I end this feed, I'm gonna go back to the Discord platform because I kind of feel like some virtual cocktails are in order, but I don't know if anyone will be there. If you want to come join for just like a virtual debrief, or end of the day chat, do that. If you just want to get outside, go do that too. And thank you for everyone who's new to BrainHack who came and joined us. It's just been it's been a tough year. It's been a long pandemic for everyone, but I think the community and the people who can support each other are the way that we're going to get through. So with that, I'm going to say Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, Happy BrainHack, and I hope to see everyone again in the future. Okay, so bye guys.